You're listening to the Monday Night Community Show with Daniel on BRFM.
This is the Daniel Monday Night Community Show on demand through YouTube. Thank you very much for choosing to listen to us through this method. If you'd like to keep up to date with when I add new interviews, then subscribe to this channel.
I know who to put in front of the camera. Dan was never your biggest fan even before you suggested we drop him. And he doesn't really blame me for the death of my previous speechwriter, does he? He blames someone much closer to home. And I also know of at least one other revelation that would stop the world in its tracks. Where is your ex-husband, Mrs. Baker? From here on in, you will never tell me again what I can or can't do. I am the President of the United States of America, and I will do whatever I damn well want, and no one is going to tell me what I shouldn't do. And certainly not you. As soon as this is all over, you'll go to the residency on Embassy Avenue and I'll call you, if I need anything. I feel some foreign trips coming up, Madam Vice President. You could be out of this country for some months, if not years. Who knows? By the time you return, memories being so short these days, we may have to send someone to vouch for you at immigration. Then again, maybe we won't. Or maybe we'll just take our time getting round to it.
Dramatic words, Mr. President. I found myself almost drawn into it at the end. I can see that you'll write your memoirs very well. I can almost imagine the title now. Harrison Doyle, the Reluctant President. Sounds like a blockbuster to me. All those pages as you explained to the American people how you never intended or wanted to serve them. The man from humble beginnings, who came to politics through a desire to fight social injustice and bring fairness and opportunity to all. Uplifting stuff, and I can't wait to see who play you in the TV miniseries. But remember, some of us, we know the truth. Now, there are those that think wrongly that the truth sets you free. It does not, does it? The reality is that there are things we really don't want others to know. Things that would cause more than a little embarrassment. Things spoken that should never have been uttered.
I'm going to tell the American people the truth about the Middle East and the manipulation of the money supply.
They know! They all know! And if they don't, it's because they choose not to. All the public has to do is turn on a computer. It's all there in an instant, page after page of it. But for all the mysteries of life, when you finally get down to it, it really doesn't matter. The people out there may wonder if we ever went to the moon or not, or what did happen on the 22nd of November 1963, or even who controls the printing and issuance of the nation's money. But never forget they still have to go to the store for the bread, milk, and coffee. That's the truth. Those are the fundamentals when you strip away everything else. And that's what our jobs are truly about. Keeping it all moving along. Like yesterday and the day before that, and the day before that. Oh, yes, and choosing a turkey for Thanksgiving.
You always were witty, Terry Ann.
There are mysteries to be discovered, but people have to get on with their lives. And after the corruption forced down their throats, when there is a game show on the other channel, guess which one they'll tune into?
Terry Ann, I think much of what you say is probably correct. But this is history, and history is never made by the timid. It's made by the brave. And if you can't or won't walk that path with me, you shouldn't be here. You had what it took in politics to get this far. Maybe you don't have it in you to go the rest of the way.
Then let us see. Let us see who truly understands how the game is played in Washington.
I think you are about to find out.
I think maybe you are right.
Oh?
There's a recording of you.
A recording?
Made during the campaign.
I've given hundreds of speeches. The internet's full of...
Not one of those.
Oh?
A very different type of recording.
What kind?
A late-night recording in which you were holding court with staffers from both the presidential and vice-presidential teams.
Those gatherings were always between friends, those closest to us.
True.
Those we could actually tell the truth to without a journalist's microphone. Oh, for the love of God, Terry Ann, I have to have at least one part of the day when I can be myself.
I'm not disagreeing with
Well,
you.
somewhere I can relax, take off my shoes, be a regular guy.
But regular guys don't get elected to the White House, do they?
Oh, come on. They were all regular guys, in truth. Not one of them had superhuman powers or abilities. They were just mortal human beings with all the same failings as the rest of us. Look, if I cannot afford to trust those of my own... Who? When?
2 months before the election, we've been in Pittsburgh, Detroit the next day. A few drinks later on, you started to rant about the lack of anything outside of the campaign and the workload, finishing on the financial woes of what had been America's car-making capital. You spoke quite freely. I think you were only letting off steam, but your tirade against both industry and labor wouldn't please either if they were ever to hear any of it. Presidents usually get a good first 100 days in office. If the recording comes out, and it might do, you'll find it very difficult to get any of your legislative agenda passed by either House of Congress. Millions will hear it on TV and radio and read it in the newspapers, and it will be available on the internet forever. Add into that allegations of a sexual nature with members of your staff that your children will come to hear about, and your presidency will be over before it has even begun. Do I need to refresh your memory over some of the things you said?
It was private.
Today, there is no such thing. Don't believe me? Ask the rest of the world who's been listening down their phones.
I was with friends.
There are no friends in politics, Mr. President. Only those that are useful to you and those that are a risk. To some, those in the shadows, you may now be seen as a liability. Your positions on Iran and the Fed, either one would be seen as dangerous. Taken together, they would act. And no security is ever perfect.
What? The office of the president is the most powerful in the world.
We both know that isn't true. But even if it was, it wouldn't matter. Julius Caesar was once considered all-powerful. What happened to him again? And we even have a Senate. Some things never change.
Why don't I tell you to simply go screw yourself?
Harrison.
I've been elected by the people of this country.
Who chose you because they were sick of the other guy.
I connected with the electorate.
You were the only other alternative.
I work 20-hour days.
It's the nature of politics.
I'm about to be the leader of the free world, and I will dictate this administration's policies, not someone else.
You get to sit in the chair and make the speeches.
I refuse to be intimidated by people I've never seen.
You've seen them all your life, Mr. President. The Defense Department, Wall Street, the industrialists, the Federal Reserve, the energy corporations, the intelligence agencies. All those that will still be around in 8 years' time. Do you really believe that these institutions will sit back and let you change this nation's policies?
I am the president of
They will kill you! But before they do, every horrible little secret you have ever had will be taken out and displayed before the world's press, as a warning to the next incumbent.
I'll take my chances.
Your humiliations won't only be visited upon you, they'll fall upon every member of your family.
My mistakes are my own.
Your infidelities will be drawn to their attention, displayed on screens across all 50 states and all internet search engines. The days of keeping quiet are over. In the past, it was all covered up because it served no one's interest. Today, the commercial interests will fight you the second you open your eyes in the morning till you close them at night. Even while you sleep, they'll be trying to knife you in the back. There are no breaks in politics, no downtimes, no off-the-cuff comments.
I will do what I believe is right.
We face a hostile media that will search for scandal and lies every time you open your mouth. They will give no quarter and accept no forgiveness. They will take every opportunity they find to destroy you. They will blame you for everything and anything. You will be betrayed as being behind every ill that befalls this nation. The truth will play no part in it. The suspicion that you are involved in some way in the death of Tommy Fielder will follow you to your grave. Your actions in the past will follow your children all their lives, and the supposed sins of the father will be passed on to them.
There are no deaths to which
No, there are not.
My inauguration address?
Apart from the sections on foreign and financial policy, you'll find the rest of it remains the same.
The rest of it was only rhetoric.
So much of power is.
So, my presidency is to be what?
We will deal with the day-to-day, maybe even the month-to-month, maybe even the year-to-year.
But the policies remain the same.
Oh, no, Mr. Doyle. How you misunderstand me.
You've just made it abundantly clear.
You want to change this nation by telling the world your intentions before you leave the stage. But real change, that will come only by working behind the scenes.
What are you saying?
You'll need someone not in the limelight, not before a microphone. Someone who can move around without being noticed. Vice presidents are frequently seen as add-ons, the ones you send when there is no one else. The backroom boy, or girl, as the case may be. The one no one watches.
You think you can make the changes out of sight.
But still in plain view.
You'd put yourself on the line for me?
Isn't that what vice presidents do? Here is my list of all the positions I want you to allocate to my office over at the EEOB.
Quite a list. National Performance Review of Technology and Research, reviews of government agencies, the U.S.-Russian Commission on Agriculture and Energy, international terrorism and people smuggling, federal programs on distressed communities, review of the North American Free Trade Agreement, and on and on. Domestic and international. You will be busy.
To the world in general, I will have no more to do than any previous VP in the history of America. So busy, no one will ever think I have time to work on anything else.
You'll also have a significant power base according to this.
But a power base working on your behalf, Mr. President, and not working against you.
Almost like a second White House.
And if one gives the institutions the image they wish to see on their TV screens, the other can fulfill your agenda. And if it goes wrong, the blame will fall upon my shoulders, not yours.
That will be quite a tightrope to walk.
Politics is always about walking a very thin line.
And our secrets from the past?
It was once said, Mr. President, that all power was about showmanship and feeding the populace. Do that, and you can get away with murder. Time to give them their money's worth, Mr. President. And play to the crowd. Bread and circuses. It's just bread and circuses.
In Bread and Circuses, Katie Williams was Terry Ann Baker, Mark Hill was Harrison Doyle, Paul Collins was President Martin, and Zig Stanieszak was the TV announcer. Artwork for the production was by Sheila Jackson, and the play was written and directed by John Fryer. Bread and Circuses is an audio production for Political Art